minus 10 minutes. Minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
We're coming in hot on a Thursday. Hello, everybody. It's the RP Show, Hour 1, setting sail on the Game Plus television network. Welcoming viewers across Canada and 32 U.S. states and wherever you may be tuning in around the world on streaming. If it's podcast form, we do go live, live at noon Eastern every day right here. Oh, we have breaking news we're going to get to right out of the day. It's a very big day here. Very big day in South Florida. It's a very special day when our good friend Kevin the Medium joins us from the Hughes Sports Podcast. He's going to be riding shotgun today and tomorrow with a lot of things to talk about. I feel like Happy New Year, Kev. Did we cover that last week? I can't remember. Were you on? You were, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I had to think about that. It was like, was it last week? Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah. Well, Happy New Year, I think, is behind us. I go to the end of January with people that I haven't seen before when I say Happy New Year. How long do you go?
I'm usually the same. Somebody told me the other day that after January 5th, you can't say Happy New Year anymore. I was like, I'll say Happy New Year if I haven't seen you in February. Why?
Exactly. Say it up till Labor Day. Exactly. Okay. There's a lot of things that Kev wants to talk about today, and me too. Just so you know, I got my Miami U gear on. Miami Hurricanes. The Fiesta Bowl goes tonight. Me and my neighbor Fish got big plans. We've been watching all these Hurricanes games all year long. So there's that. Just so you know, I said yesterday, I need a hardcore football guy that can talk about tonight's Fiesta Bowl, NFL coaching carousel, and all the rest. And what came to me was Matt Dubuc in hour 2. He is the guest, 3-time state Florida high school football champion, CFL alum, former Texas Tech Red Raider. So for all the ball that's going on, we got Matt Dubuc coming in. But here's the breaking news today. It'll be point 1. The Miami Dolphins have fired head coach Mike McDaniel. The move came down Thursday morning after McDaniel had met with reporters on Monday and said he would be part of the team's interviews to hire a new general manager. Dolphins owner Stephen Ross met with McDaniel this week to discuss the season, and after that meeting and reflection, Ross decided to move on. The sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter the Dolphins finished 7-10 this season. So before, Kevin's not the biggest NFL guy, but you're keeping an eye on it. Here's my thoughts. Troy Aikman, clearly not a Mike McDaniel fan. Stephen Ross brought in my favorite NFL player ever, Troy Aikman, to advise on the future of the team. And the next thing you know, Mike McDaniel's out. But it's not even that. It's John Harbaugh getting fired yesterday by the Baltimore Ravens, or Tuesday night. That is what I think triggered this. And now everybody thinks that John Harbaugh is coming to Miami. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. But my question to you, Kev, is watching this all, as you are, as the football fan, is it a little head spinning, or how do you feel about Black Sunday, Black Monday, Black Tuesday, Black Wednesday, into Black Thursday?
And now what's going to happen tomorrow? How many coaches have been fired now? Have you been keeping track? I've lost track.
8.
Is it 8? Is that a record?
I don't know about that, but that's 1 out of every 4 teams. That's a quarter of NFL teams have fired their coaches from the start of the year.
That's insanity. Think of any other industry. Because sports is an industry. Sports is a business. Think of any other industry where you can say, let's pick hotels. Hotels in Calgary. How many presidents of hotels in Calgary got fired in the new year? I can guarantee you it's not 8. It's just bizarre. I was sitting having a beer with some people yesterday, and they were all talking about the different coaches and how one coach got fired because the kicker missed a field goal. And I was like, and I was just listening. And when I've been fired, nobody talked about me being fired. It must be really hard to be in the spotlight and be let go of your position. Because not only does it hurt personally, now you've got every armchair quarterback or coach coming up with reasons why you were fired and where you're going to go next.
How much time you got, Kev? I can address that. When I got fired, I'll never forget. And my good friend, the landman, Mike Lee, still laughs about this story because it was 7 years ago now. But I remember when they tied a can to me in Saskatchewan. I went and met with all my football buddies, and they're all like, hey, welcome to the club. Sit down. Now you have a seat at the table. You've finally been fired. So it wasn't as big a deal. It was a bigger deal to everybody else, frankly, than it was to me. So anyways, that's that. And we've got a lot of things to get into. Point 2 of the quick 6. Throwing a little curveball at you all. You may be surprised that it's this. Outdoor hockey is heading to Utah. The Utah Mammoth will host the 2027 Winter Classic against the Colorado Avalanche at the University of Utah Football Stadium. It's set to be the first outdoor game for the franchise formerly known as the Phoenix and Arizona Coyotes, and before that, the Winnipeg Jets. The other 31 active NHL teams had all taken part, so this makes Utah the very last team to play in an outdoor game, and they're going to host it next year. My question to you, Kevin, all the fans, the viewers, how do you feel about outdoor games? And the poll question is, have you ever attended one? I'll throw that out there. So for me, it's a yes. I've been to two. How about you?
I've never been to one. I want to go to one just to be able to say I've been to one. Should they keep them going? Of course they should. Look at the attendance at these things. They're huge. You were down at the last one here that we just had in Miami.
Yep.
Or in Florida. And you literally compared it to the Super Bowl or the Grey Cup. It was that big of an event. It lasts all week long. Why not celebrate this great game? And if it means having more outdoor games, let's not overdo it. Let's just have one a year. One, it's like this year it's in Utah, or next year it's in Utah. The year after it's going to be in Vancouver or wherever, maybe Calgary. I think it would be cool.
Well, Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I went to the first one at Commonwealth, was freaking cold, but what an event. Oh, well, see, I don't like to be cold, so the one in Miami worked perfectly for me. And I'm planning to be at the one in Tampa February the 1st. My first was 2019, the Heritage Classic in Regina. Paul Maurice said after the game last week, he said, every team should play in this every year. So they're not going to do that, I don't think, but it's just basically that's how much fun it is for the players and the coaches. And now it's coming to Utah. And for those that say they overdo it, I don't think that they do. And the big thing around here, Kev, was everybody said, oh, the sight lines are terrible. It's actually not that bad when you think about it. Because whether you're in a ballpark or a football stadium, you're still watching players out there at midfield in a football game or a baseball game. They're no further away on the hockey ice, right? It just looks really bad in pictures because your iPhone doesn't judge the way that your eyes do. So it's like Kevin just said, he wants to go to one to say that he's been to one, and that makes sense. Then they're kind of addicting, and I got to be careful because, as you know, I have an addictive personality. But I'm planning to go to Tampa. I would like to go to Dallas next year to Gero World, and I think I would maybe like to go to Utah because that seems to be the place to go. Anyways, we got CFL,
let's go to Utah
more
together.
NHL, a little NBA, some NFL, all on the way. This is the warm-up. We're just getting rolling, everybody, and we're live on the Game Plus Television Network here across Canada. Be right back after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th. It all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The battle on the prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. I'm 1,000 miles from nowhere. Time don't matter to me. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, we're back at it. Kevin, the medium, is with me. Does your message stand out? Well, at Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. Tony Plater brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise, from media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content. He'll help you lead with confidence. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. Again, Mike McDaniel fired this morning as head coach of the Miami Dolphins. From the audience, Brent writes in, he says, I was surprised Harbaugh got fired in Baltimore. McDaniel in Miami, maybe was overdue. Carlos at Indianapolis says, I wonder how many of these post-Black Monday firings are due to the firings from Black Monday. Probably quite a few. And regarding outdoor games, BW in Edmonton writes in and he says, the Sky Dome should host the Leafs versus Canadians. Surprised that has not happened at the Big O either. I'm with you. I totally do. Kev, before we jump to what you wanted to talk about, which is the CFL report cards, and I certainly don't have a problem with talking about that in the Canadian hour of the program. My neighbor Fish and I are going to go to a Miami Hurricanes watch party tonight. They're in the Fiesta Bowl tonight against Ole Miss. And Rough Rider fans need to know, Jim Barker dropped this on Friday. The quarterback for Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, is on the Saskatchewan Rough Riders negotiation list. So if you're looking for a reason to watch the Fiesta Bowl tonight, because you wouldn't normally care about Miami and Ole Miss, that quarterback for Ole Miss could end up in the CFL one day for Saskatchewan, and he is all that. Almost like a Tracy Ham type. The question to you, Kev, is watch parties. I love them.
Oh,
do you?
I absolutely love them. As soon as you said watch parties, I thought back to when you and I organized that watch party at, I can't remember the restaurant bar,
Shark Club.
Shark Club here in Calgary, and how much fun that was. I mean, we had the mascot for the Stampeders beating me up. It was hilarious. We had so much fun.
Charlie Horse. Wasn't he Charlie Horse?
No.
Whatever it is. Whatever his name
I
is.
can't think of his name. But anyways, I think more teams need to have that type of thing where they send players that aren't playing out, and hopefully they actually interact with the crowd and have some fun.
Yeah, we had big fun there at the Shark Club. You're right. I'm sorry that I can't remember the Stampede. I think it is Charlie Horse. For sure, that's the Swift Current Broncos mascot because I put his head on. But there's Stamps fans watching, so write in and tell us what the name of your mascot is. That was a hell of a lot of fun, and I had a funny point on that. It'll come to me. But this is what Kevin wanted to talk about. Trust me, I'll get to the NHL talk later. A lot of the Canadian teams don't want us to talk about the NHL talk in Canada. I get that. Oh, it was the very first watch party I went to for the Miami Hurricanes. I don't know if I told you this. Fish still laughs about it every time we're together. He's my neighbor. He goes, remember that time we went to the watch party and they pulled you up out of the crowd? The lady comes up to me and she's like, "You look like you could host this. Would you mind hosting this for me?" I'm like, "What? Why?" But I did. But I did. Just, it was, and now I don't miss them. I'm like, I better go buy some Miami Hurricanes gear because I was wearing Chicago Blackhawks gear at the time. Anyways, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, among the CFL's top teams last season, have earned the distinction of being its best franchise off the field. Listen close, everybody. Hamilton received 5 A's and 5 B's in the CFL Players Association's second annual team report cards, which were released Wednesday. The top grades came for the Ticats in football operations, facilities and equipment, strength and conditioning, team travel, and training camp. B's were for coaching staff, ownership / business operations, therapy and medical staff, nutrition, diet, and treatment of families. These are all the categories. It's a 78-page online questionnaire that the players fill out about their own teams. The Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders also earned 5 A's in coaching staff, football ops, strength and conditioning, team travel, and training camp. They received B's for all but treatment of families, where they secured a C, and also earned criticism for community appearances. That's for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Pardon me. And only 2 F's, flunks, were given to Kevin's BC Lions when it comes to nutrition and diet, and the Montreal Alouettes for treatment of family. Over to you, sir, the resident BC Lions fan.
Well, it shocked me to see the standings. And what shocked me the most was BC being dead last in the overall grade. They were dead last. And one of the things that stood out to me was, if you look at the ownership questions, we failed miserably, which shocked me. It was like, holy. Big one that stood out is the whole appearance and not being paid for appearances, travel time, late payments, etc., etc. It's funny because Jake and I were talking about this on the air last night, is as a fan, we look at it one way, but then now that we're more media than fans, we look at it a different way and go, wow, like what is going on in BC? We thought the ownership group there was amazing. Maybe they're not as good behind the scenes as we think they are, obviously. But is that just the players?
What an absolute can of worms. But now that I think about it, because it's not just about the football teams, and the NFL started doing this a few years ago. The CFL jumped on board, and it's fascinating. I'll tell you right now, Amar Dolman is my favorite owner / leader in the Canadian.
Me too.
Right. He's been on this show multiple times. He's a dude. He is a dude. And he's done great things there with the BC Lions. So I don't get it, why they would get Fs in these certain categories from their own players. However, the Kansas City Chiefs, a year that they won the Super Bowl just a few years ago, got an F in team facilities, like training facilities. Their ownership got an F, and we're all like, oh? And this is nothing against or about the BC Lions, because I can tell you again, I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and Kevin, it's your team. So we're not casting any dispersions on them. This is the results of the poll, period. But having said that, given, have you seen these polls done for places of work? Like, come on, let's peel this back a little bit. You and I have been around the block a little bit, and a lot of our viewers have too. When they give you those surveys about your workplace, there's been times I didn't want to fill it out. Because I'll be honest with you, I hated where I worked. I hated. And you know that. Yes. The world knows that. We were on top of the world, ratings-wise and all the rest, and I hated walking in there every day. But nobody knew that. And it's like, in a way, because you know how close I am and certainly was to the players. It reminds me, Darian Durant got called in one day. And I'm not going to say who called him in, but he was asked by the general manager, what do you think of your offensive coordinator? And Darian told me after, like right after he called me, I said, what did you say? He goes, I didn't know what to say. Felt like a trap.
Well, yeah.
So that's all. I'm not going to say who. People can guess, but that's where, I don't know. How much stock should we put in this, I guess, is what I'm getting down to, because are the players truthful? Do they have an axe to grind? It's fun to read, but I'm not sure how much stock I put into it.
Well, when you see the same comments from the players on one particular aspect of the league, and what stood out to me, and again, is this whole appearance, being paid for appearances. First off, I had no clue players were paid to do appearances. I thought that was just part of your wage, and you went and did it. Apparently not. Apparently they get paid to do this. But when you see team after team after team after team all saying there's an issue here, that's something the CFLPA needs to address. And I think it's great that they come out with these report cards, because it really actually opens the eyes of the fans to, you look at BC, the training facility sucks. I didn't know that. I did a deep dive yesterday into it, and they are actually proactively renovating the building they're in, knowing they're only going to be there for 2 or 3 more years while they look for a better facility. So to me, that looks like the ownership group is looking at these issues and taking it seriously, going, yeah, we have an issue. We need a better facility. We have an issue. They talked about building a proper kitchen. Nutrition was where BC got their F. So is it good? Yeah, I think it is.
I'm sure it is. It's just, I'm sure the BC Lions would prefer if this was kept in-house. It's sort of like, here's the report card. Yeah, it's like, here, we'll give it to the team, but we don't need to send this to the media. But they do. But you know what? It gives guys like you and me and all the shows something to talk about. With regards to the watch parties, which Fish and I are going to be at tonight for the Miami Hurricanes, Kevin and I said we had a great time at the Calgary Stampeders watch parties, which they are so great. I mean, I love bringing the fans together. I don't care if they're Calgary Stampeders fans or Miami Hurricanes fans or Regina Pats fans. I mean, not every team wants to do that. And I don't understand why, but Kevin and I were saying that the Stampeders horse was there, and I couldn't remember his name. I'm sorry, he wasn't talking, so he didn't introduce himself to me. But the fans have written in, thank you. Where the hell is it? Oh, it was a dog. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta says it's Ralph the dog. Ralph the dog, right. And it's Harvey the hound. What was I saying? I think I said it was a horse. Yeah.
I still have pictures. I still have pictures of Ralph attacking me for no reason whatsoever, unprovoked, I might add.
I'm sure you were into the devil's juice and probably had it coming. Producer Corey says, I guess the BC Lions are feeding their players a tub of margarine with a spoon. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says a shout out to Calgary Stampeders on a huge improvement in nutrition. No team took more flack last year for that, even though we were not the lowest. So again, player report cards have come out, and some teams failed in some areas. The BC Lions, the Montreal. There's nothing wrong, trust me, with the teams being held accountable. I might throw this at Matthew Dubuc when he joins us next hour. Because we are held accountable every day. The players are held accountable by the teams. Dag nabbit. Why shouldn't the teams be held accountable? They just don't really like being held accountable.
Well, and which team was the most improved on the field, in your opinion, last year?
Hamilton.
They're finished number 1. Another team that jumps to my mind is the the Elks. And they jumped up to, I think, number 5, 6. Obviously, these report cards show something.
Yeah, again, I like I say, I'm not against it. I'm just saying, how much stock do we put in it? But the Hamilton Tiger Cats went from missing the playoffs to first place in the East. Pretty big deal. But I'll also say this, man, because we have a lot of viewers, trust me, in that GTA, Golden Horseshoe, Hamilton area. I'm not a Ticat fan, never will be. I was offered a job from them one year. I didn't go. Never been a Ticat guy, but they haven't won a Grey Cup since 1999. Dude, it's 2026. That's 27 seasons. And I'm like, I think about this all the time now. I became voice of the Riders in 99. We didn't even get to a Grey Cup till 07, and that felt like an eternity. It was 9 seasons before I even got to a Grey Cup as voice of the Rough Riders. I was thinking, I'll never go. We're like the Cleveland Browns. It's a cool job, but we're never going to win anything. 26 years in Hamilton is a eternity. So basically what I'm saying is good on them for providing great snacks and whatever the hell else and a nice weight room. But how about winning? But it's a chicken and the egg thing. You got to have one right before you have the other, I guess. As a player, you're going to try that much harder for an organization that looks after you properly. Hamilton actually fed a beautiful Thanksgiving dinner, not only for the players, but their families as well. That type of thing goes a long way. Yes. Well, it helps. But I mean, I gave the most 100% every day for a place that I didn't even like. In retrospect, I don't think I would do that again. I don't know what it's like. Well, now I do. That's why I'm so happy here. We will be back with Kevin the Media. More with him. Got some NHL stuff to get to, NFL, CFL. Be right back on Game Plus TV.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th. It all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The battle on the prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Kevin, the medium, hanging out with us today. The Western Dodge text line is open, 902-518-3033. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them in the showroom or online at westerndodge.ca. Kevin, the medium, always wants to know ahead of the show what we're going to talk about. Why does it matter, Kev? We go off-roading all the time anyways. Who knew what we were going to talk about today? But I will say this, because some people have written in to the YouTube chat. And by the way, if you're watching streaming, please hit like and share. It helps us out greatly. We don't ask for a lot here. Normally we do the junior hockey report, but this will just be the hockey report for the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. Glenn Hall, Hall of Famer Glenn Hall, known as Mr. Goalie, an Iron Man who changed the way goaltenders play during a stellar NHL career with Detroit, Chicago, and St. Louis, has passed away at age 94. The product of Humboldt, Sask, where there is a sign dedicated to Mr. Goalie right downtown Humboldt. Trust me, I've been there. Won 2 Stanley Cups, the Calder Memorial Trophy, 3 Vezinas, and the Conn Smythe Trophy. Wow. From 1952 to 1971. He started 502 consecutive games. I just get a kick out of this. I saw yesterday, his record likely will never be broken. Likely? 502. Goalies don't start 2 consecutive games in the NHL, or not back-to-back anyways. I mean, 502 without a mask? My God. Kev, any thoughts on
And he lived to 94.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that too. I think that's because he's from Humboldt. Something special about him. But we've done events together. He had a little bit of a lisp, so everybody would make jokes. He's just a fun guy. Mr. Goey, Glenn Hall, Mr. Goey. We did an event in Saskatoon, the Kinsman Dinner. Kev, it was nirvana for me. As a goalie guy, with a goalie mask over my shoulder. Bernie Perrant, Grant Fuhr, Martin Brodeur, Ed Belfour. I think that was and Glenn Hall. I think it was
wow.
Yeah. Anyways, those 4 were on the stage, and Glenn Hall got up and got on the microphone at the podium, and they're like, "What do you have to say, Mr. Hall?" He goes, "I forgot how ugly you all are." And yeah. Mr. Goey passing away at age 94, an absolute icon. But the hockey report for the Mad Greek, whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight, open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. And thanks to everybody who goes down there and mention us to the Mad Greek. Johnny, you treat us. I appreciate that. It helps us out immensely as well. Oh, it was Laverne and Swift Kern who wrote in and says, rest in peace, Mr. Glenn Hall, the Iron Man. So here's one, Kev, from Kirk in Toronto. He's watching on Game Plus TV. Writes in at 902-518-3033. He says, "Hey, Rod, a prominent downtown Toronto steakhouse and cocktail den is offering Bo Bichette steaks for life if he re-signs with the Bluebirds, promising he'll never go hungry in Toronto. Oh, and their 40-ounce porterhouse goes for $275. Is there anything that you could be offered for life that would entice you to sign with an employer?"
Man, steak would be way up on my list. Heck yeah.
What else could there be? Yeah.
I can be bought. I have a price. Everybody has their price. Steaks for life. That's whew. We went to the Salt Lake. If they want to offer me a steak for life, and I'll promote them every show I'm on, anywhere, everywhere, and I'll eat steak for the rest of my life. I'm good with that.
Well, it's funny because I say it quite often around here in South Florida. I order beef every chance I can. And I would eat it every day because I did growing up. And people are, "You sure like your beef?" I said, "I'm the son of a cattle rancher." I would be beaten if I wasn't eating beef every day. But I'm not sure that, I've been told that it's not good for you because people have said your bowels will be screaming. I could eat pizza every day, but I wouldn't advise it. I would not advise it. Jason and Red Deer writes, and he says, steak, pizza, pasta, pretty much any food for life. And I'm in.
Pretty easy.
John Ohm in Winnipeg. Says steak and lobster for life for me. Sign me up, dudes. Kev, the next time you come to Florida, you're going to stay with me, and we're going to do some fun things. Because one thing here that I got to thank Kevin from Wellington, Florida. Brent from Wellington. He's not watching right now. Apparently, he hasn't written in, but we went bully netting, which I'm not sure you know what that is, but we went and caught 30 lobsters with our own hands in the Florida Keys, and then came home and he barbecued them.
Oh, my.
What? Yeah.
Oh, my.
We caught 30 lobsters. It's a longer story and a far more exciting story, but it's, catching your fish is one thing. And then, anyways, Ken is watching in Mississauga, Ontario. Say what?
Did you fall off the boat in that story?
Well, even if I had, it wouldn't have mattered because the water was only 4 feet deep. Listen, I'll tell you, here's the thing. Yesterday, I told a story about us herding cattle as kids using ATVs. It's just a different world here. I'm not totally certain this was legal, but it was at night, and there was a light on the front of the boat, and these lobsters, they shine. They just pop out like they're gold. There's something in their shell. Right? And they can't get away. They don't move real fast. So you hover over them and you scoop them. And I'm not sure it was legal, but what the hell? Don't tell anybody. We did it. It's over now. I think the statute of limitations is over. Ken in Mississauga says Kawhi Leonard had similar offers. Right. And how did that work out for him? John, he didn't stay. John Ohm says, oh my, Rod, what a lobster story. Book me in for February or March, dude. I was just telling Joe Lazito that I'm considering a trip up to New York in March for the Panthers play at the Rangers at noon on a Saturday and the Islanders at noon on a Sunday. I'm like, ooh, perfect. Jump on a jet, bing, 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 2 quick games and back home. BW in Edmonton writes that he says Jordan Peterson is on an all-beef diet. Seems to be working for him. Well, my dad would agree. Before I let you go, Kev, okay, your take on the Vancouver Canucks. Did they play last night? Did they lose again in Buffalo? Was that last night?
Night before last, they lost in Buffalo. They didn't play last night, so it was a relief. My thoughts on the Canucks, it all stems to Winnipeg. What the heck is Winnipeg doing? Winnipeg has to start winning some darn games. My Canucks need to finish in 32nd. If they finish in 31st, they have the Canuck luck. They will not get that first-round pick. The only chance we have is actually finishing in 32nd. And Winnipeg's blowing that for us. Winnipeg, would you go and win some games for us? Holy crumb.
I love, now we might have to carry this over till tomorrow when you join me again, but your take on the World Juniors. You said, I hate hockey. You're the king of dramatic social media takes. I'm very entertaining. Do you really hate hockey, or were you just trying to get clicks?
Of course I was trying to get clicks. Hello. I love hockey. I breathe hockey. Am I frustrated? I've watched the Canucks for most of my entire life. They haven't done anything in my entire life. And when I say that, until they win the cup, they haven't done anything. Yeah, it's frustrating. Hockey is frustrating. It's like an abusive relationship. I just keep coming back to it.
Yeah, I know. Well, especially with Canucks fans and certain other teams fans, I get it. But follow Kevin and watch his podcast, the Hughes Sports Podcast. I'm not joking. You are the king of the hot takes, but I never know whether to believe you or not, because sometimes you're not joking. So I never know when you're like trolling or, yeah.
That's the best part when you do what I do is you can be all serious and post really serious stuff, spiritual stuff, and then you throw in an I hate hockey. I literally had people messaging me. I had family members messaging me going, was that you? Did someone hack your account? Because you would never say that. And I just laughed and went, yeah, that was me. I don't believe it.
Well, the one thing about you is you're unpredictable, but in a good way. Maybe tomorrow we'll tell a little more stories about the first football game I watched with him live, BC and Calgary. And I looked at him. I'm like, You're irrational. You're an irrational fan right now. There's very few teams that get me as irrational, but it does happen. I mean, I get it. But follow Kevin on social media, watch his podcast. It's highly entertaining. Kev, thanks for this, sir. Appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thanks again, my friend. You're the best.
You are. We got a sports update and viewer takeover coming up right after this break. And Matt Dubuc, 3-time Florida State high school football champion, CFL alum, Grey Cup champion, to talk all things ball. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Kevin and I were just texting in the break, Kevin the medium, and I, about how much fun that was. This is going to be fun, too. Just you and me up until the top of the hour. Notice what I've done with the place? This is our biggest sponsor on the Cats and Bolts podcast. We had a great show yesterday, reliving the Winter Classic with Brent Woltman and I, presented in part by iTix Now. It's your number one ticket-selling marketplace for Florida Panthers fans. I thought, I'll throw this jersey up because they went through such a hassle to get it made and send it to us. So, yeah, that's why. But this will be fun here for the next 20 minutes on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. By the way, are you ready for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge where the deals are real and the service is legendary. Darcy writes in from Grand Prairie, Alberta. One of the few places I've never been, by the way. Should I go, Darcy? He says, rest in peace, Mr. Goalie, with the hands praying emoji. He says, they don't make them like that anymore. A throwback's throwback. Well, because we owns the 55-plus demographic across Canada. Coming after it in America, too, in this time slot. Everybody knows who Glenn Hall is with two N's. Glenn with two N's, Hall. And I'm still thinking about the news coverage yesterday. Maybe you weren't watching earlier, Darcy, where I said, Glenn Hall, whose record may never be broken, of 502 consecutive games started. I'm like, what do you mean, may? What do you mean it may never be broken? I mean, if there was ever a record. You know, I often think of Gary Etcheverry, my good longtime football fan, coach friend, who legendary always says, never's a long time. Now, I get that, Etch. But I think we can confidently say Glenn Hall's record of 502 consecutive games started will never be broken. I'm pretty confident. Is there any other record as safe as that in sports? I don't think so. And he's like a lot of these guys, and unfortunately, when you lose him, you can't live forever, but I read off his resume here last segment. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's done. Let me do it again because he deserves it. Two-time Stanley Cup winner, Calder Memorial Trophy winner, 3 Vezina trophies as top goalie of the year, Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP. He's won it all. He's the definition of a Hall of Famer, but you know what? He was just a really great guy. And I would put that down as I said earlier, being from Humboldt. Salt of the earth guy. I forgot how ugly you guys are. That was the best. Everybody's waiting in the Saskatoon TCU Place auditorium for some profound thing to come out of Mr. Goalie's mouth when he takes to the microphone and looks at Bernie Parent, Grant Fuhr, Ed Belfour, Martin Brodeur. I think that was the 4. And I forgot how ugly you guys all are. Place went nuts. We got to have more of these. We got to have more of these events because that particular night, the Hanson brothers were there. The Hansons. One of them, I think it was Steve, got so drunk he fell off the stage. And I'm like, hey, been there. So glad I'm not anymore. But that was just a fun night. 902-518-3033. We talked earlier about the CFL Players Association report cards that came out yesterday. We'll talk more about it tomorrow because it'll be a Football Friday with a very special guest tomorrow, by the way. But Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, good morning, Rod and crew. I was surprised that the BC Lions were at the bottom, considering that Amar Doman is obviously a good owner. This is, maybe we should bring Amar on to defend himself. Like 78 questions on the questionnaire. Believe me, I spent a lot of time with my coach on being less jaded. We worked a lot on tone this week. Rod, you can still say the same things, but you can't say them the way you used to say them because it pisses too many people off. Oh, okay, teach me. But as far as being cynical about the media, here's the thing. Maybe they sent that questionnaire to 44 BC Lions and one of them had a problem. And that's the thing that the media puts forth. You know what I mean? I'm so jaded. Plus, I like Amar. He's been very good to us. I mean, I look at Hamilton. They haven't been real good to me. And they finished number 1 in this for amongst their players, but hasn't manifested the Grey Cup wins there. I said it. Laverne in the Frontier City writes in, he says, I would be curious to know how many pucks Mr. Goalie took off the face. Well, hang on a second. Let's go back. I was thinking about this earlier. He comes from an era where there was no stats for junior hockey. Shoot, it was hit and miss getting junior hockey stats up until the mid-'80s. Yeah, he has no junior hockey stats. Mr. Goalie, born in 1931 in Humboldt, Sask. Glad you asked. Very first pro team was the Indianapolis Capitals. And he broke in with Detroit in 1952. So I don't even know where he played junior. Somebody want to help me out with that? And I want to fashion myself as a goalie guy. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I don't think that's how this was evaluated, Rod. Well, we don't know. We don't know. So I don't know. I don't like anybody being made to look bad if they don't deserve it, but maybe they do deserve it. I don't know. Yeah, the Toronto Argonauts named their coaching staff. I didn't have that in my sports update. But I can tell you this. I said that we're going to have a very special guest on tomorrow's program. In the Jim Barker spot tomorrow, we will be joined by Mike Miller, the first-year head coach of the Toronto Argonauts. He had been asking to get on the Rod Pedersen Show. Today they announced their staff, and tomorrow he'll be on this program. So just hang on a second. If we have time and I can get it called up here, because I'm not sure if it's at the Sports Wire just yet. Here it is. I'll read it now. What the hell? We're in the Canadian hour. Mike Miller and Chris Miller are together again. Chris Miller will serve as the Toronto Argonauts quarterback coach under new head coach Mike Miller, the team announced today. The two, who are not related, spent 3 seasons together as coaches with the NFL's Arizona Cardinals. Mike Miller was hired as Toronto's head coach December 1st to replace Ryan Dinwiddie. Chris Miller, aged 60, was the 1987 first-round pick of the Atlanta Falcons and spent over 10 NFL seasons with the Rams and Broncos. Mike Miller's staff will also feature the return of former Argos players Kadeem Carey and Demetrius Maxey. Carey helped Toronto win the 24 Grey Cup as a running back before earning another title last year with Saskatchewan. Despite his 25 season being cut short due to injury, he will now serve as the Argos running back coach. Maxey won 2 Grey Cups with Toronto as a defensive lineman from 96 and 97, earned another as an AC in 2024. Dominic Picard, the angry Frenchman, remains with Toronto, although in a different capacity. The all-star offensive lineman will be the Argos offensive line coach after serving as running backs coach the last 2 years. Mickey Donovan returns for a 5th season as Toronto special teams coordinator. I loved him in the TV series Ray Donovan. Mickey played Ray's father in the show. Rounding out Mike Miller's staff will be Kieri Johnson, receivers coach, Colin Hoff, offensive line assistant, Greg Quick. I love that guy. He reminds me of Foghorn Leghorn. I say, Greg Quick, defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, Jovan Johnson, Mr. Consistency. I didn't know that he was with the Argos. JoJo. And Bubba Walker, linebackers assistant and quality control coach. While we're at it, sports update, all 7 Canadian NHL teams are in action tonight. Calgary visits Boston. Did I mention that I was 5 for 5 in NHL picks last night? I would like to just put that out there right now. The Montreal Canadiens entertain Florida, and I will get to my nightly NHL picks next hour. We don't have time here. Winnipeg will try to snap a 10-game losing streak against the visiting Edmonton Oilers. Toronto visits Philadelphia. Vancouver is at Detroit, and Ottawa plays in Colorado. The Charlotte Hornets will like to rebound tonight against Indiana after falling to the Toronto Raptors. Last night, Emmanuel quickly hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer to give Toronto a 1-point victory. And Trae Young's time with the Atlanta Hawks is over. Reports say, I think it's been confirmed now, the NBA team is sending him to Washington for a package of players that includes veteran C.J. McCollum. And Matt Dunstone and Brad Jacobs will square off tonight at the Crown Royal Players Championship in Steinbach, Manitoba. It's a rematch of the Olympic trials final that Jacobs won last November. It's the 3rd day of action at the Grand Slam of Curling event. For everybody who's asking, where's Moose? He's there. because I talked to Moose this morning. I said, "Are you in Steinbach?" And he said, "Yes, I am." That's Moose's new job. That's your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store, Moose Jaw. Get your game day gear in-store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. It's fine for the Crown Royal. In my other role as a recovery coach, addiction, mental health recovery coach, I had a tour of the ARC Rehabilitation Center rehab clinic in Gimli, north of Winnipeg, Steinbach South, right? And like wafting across town, like, why do I smell rye? You got to be a hardcore alcoholic to know that. And they're like, oh, the Crown Royal factory is just across, the brewery, distillery is just across the road from the rehab facility. Sounds about right. Aurora Recovery Center, that's what it was. ARC, A-R-C. Anyways, just to let you know what I do with the rest of my time. Hour 2 coming up, including Matt Dubuc here on Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Giddy up, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show for those that are just joining. For those that have been with us, well, thank you for rolling into hour 2. We've been on the Game Plus Television Network and continue to be, but we welcome viewers across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And man, oh man, did they love the interview with Cody Fajardo yesterday, the Nevada Wolfpack star and CFL great, which he is. And dude, we just keep rolling along. Choo-choo. I hope that 2026 has been a great start for you. I can tell you who it hasn't been for. You're going to find out shortly when we get into the Quick Six show topics of your favorite sports talk show. I know that it is. That's why you're here, which I will tell you a couple things. Matter of business here. Matt Dubuc joins us in the next segment, and here's why. I was like, I needed a hardcore football guy to break down a lot of things. The NFL coaching carousel, which there's more news today on this Thursday. There's the Fiesta Bowl tonight. Our Miami Hurricanes are in it. A watch party going on down here for that. We got news coming out of the Canadian Football League, and I'm like, who can talk about all these leagues and talk about them well? Matt Dubuc. Okay, 3-time state Florida high school football champion, Texas Tech Red Raider, Grey Cup winner with the Toronto Argonauts, Doug Flutie's old roommate. Matt Dubuc is going to join us in the next segment. And I just want to do a special shout-out to, where is it, Bob? Bob in Medicine Hat. He writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hello, Rod. Bob from Medicine Hat, Alberta, back watching your show. I missed you for a few days, but I'm glad to be back watching your show. Have a great day, Rod. Bob, I'm glad to have you back watching the show. And yes, we took a couple of days off over the Christmas holidays and the New Year's. People apparently need a break. So we had a break, but we're back to normal now, and it feels great to be. So anyways, here as we get into the Quick Six show topics, which I'll strive to get through all 6, but we never do. 2026 has not started out great for a lot of NFL coaches. The latest, the Miami Dolphins firing coach Mike McDaniel Thursday morning. The move comes after McDaniel had met with reporters just on Monday and said that he would be part of the team's interviews to hire a new general manager. Dolphins owner Stephen Ross met with McDaniel this week to discuss the season, and after that meeting and reflection, Ross decided to move on. This was first reported by ESPN's Adam Schefter. Schefter has reported this, that the owner thought about it, and yeah, we're done. The Dolphins finished 7-10. I think it had more to do with the fact that John Harbaugh became available on Tuesday night, fired as head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, and it was, I think, just yesterday. Matt Dubuc was writing into this show saying, John Harbaugh to the Dolphins. I think that precipitated this move. But listen, I know we're airing all across Canada, 32 U.S. states, and across Nevada. I know you're not all Miami Dolphins fans, but let me just piece this all together. And this market is no different than any other market in terms of what's the number one team in town. All it's been on sports talk radio, and there are five. There might even be 6 in this southern Florida area, and all they're talking about around the clock is the fate of Mike McDaniel. They're saying Tua's done. The quarterback's done. So whoever takes over this team, and I'm kind of thinking with Dubuc that it will be John Harbaugh. You're not going to have a quarterback. You're not going to have a general manager. And the other very interesting thing about this that people seem to forget is Troy Aikman just last week was brought on board by this owner, Stephen Ross, to consult on the direction of the team. So clearly Troy Aikman is not a fan of Mike McDaniel because they fired him today. So all of these things come together, but will it be John Harbaugh? We'll talk about that with Matt Dubuc coming up in the next. That and a lot of other things. There are now 8 coaching vacancies in the NFL. Harbaugh was the 7th. Mike McDaniel is the 8th. And we could sit here and talk about this for hours. I mean, every other show is. But yeah, we'll move on. Our picks, by the way, which I'll push them to tomorrow because the wild card weekend in the NFL, the games aren't until Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We don't need to do the picks today, but when we do, they're brought to you by Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. I think the one thing I will say, I love, people are still saying that Bill Belichick is applied for them all. Bill, maybe it's time, bro. If given the choice of Bill Belichick or John Harbaugh, I think everybody's taking John Harbaugh. Like, Bill, just go retire. But he doesn't want to, so that's fine. But maybe, like happens for a lot of people, you get retired before you're willing to retire from the NFL. Because, as you know, Belichick's still under contract at North Carolina for 2026. But again, here, hiring John Harbaugh would immediately instill some credibility that the Dolphins, I'm sorry, are lacking. I mean, we just had Bob Marrier on here last week, good friend of mine. I mean, he's more so a hockey guy, Montreal Canadiens, diehard, but he lives here in South Beach, and he mentioned, Mike McDaniel looks like the IT guy wandered into a team meeting. Hi, I'm here to fix the internet. Oh, I'm the head coach. It just didn't work, clearly. John Harbaugh, you would not have that issue. What did I say yesterday? 15th or 17th all-time winningest coach in NFL history. I think 15th. John Harbaugh? Yeah, here we are, 5 minutes on that. Okay, hang on. I don't know where this is coming from. Brent in Saskatoon writes in, I'm joining the YouTube chat late. I've missed some stuff here. Brent in the Bridge City says, I don't know who knows or cares, but the Fiesta Bowl is tonight. Not sure what time. Should be a good game. No, we all care. It's 7:30 Eastern. It's the Miami Hurricanes up against Ole Miss. And, well, Brent, you're a Rough Riders fan, so I always do this when it comes to the bowl games and the nitty-grit like this because it's the semifinals. If you're looking for a reason to tune in, Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, who, frankly, they shouldn't even be this far into the Final Four. He is on the negotiation list of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I meant to get into this with Kevin the Medium last hour, but I can do it tomorrow with him on a Football Friday. Watch tonight, the quarterback for Ole Miss, and see what he does, because he is all that. He evokes images of Tracy Ham. I don't know if Matt Dubuc would agree with that or not. We'll ask him next segment. Nealon Green in his best days. It's a reason to watch tonight. I don't want to get bogged down in negotiation list and CFL talk because there's a lot of things to get to like this. Point 2, outdoor hockey is heading to Utah. Yeehaw! The Utah Mammoth will host the 2027 Winter Classic against the Colorado Avalanche at the University of Utah Football Stadium. It's set to be the first outdoor game for the franchise formerly known as the Phoenix and Arizona Coyotes, and before that, the Winnipeg Jets. Oh, this is like a Prince thing? The Utah Mammoth, formerly known. The other 31 active teams had all taken part in outdoor games, making Utah the last to participate. So that's our poll question today. Have you been to an outdoor game? I've felt like spending far more time on that topic today, and then Mike McDaniel got fired. Things change. But Allie writes in from Texarkana, Texas, and she says, the 2020 Winter Classic was one of the best days of my life. She says, happy Thursday, RP and chat. So that's the poll question. Have you been to an outdoor game? And was Tuesday, I think, Scruffy was like, you hadn't been to one before. Yes, I have, Scruffy. I was at the 2019 Heritage Classic in Regina, the one which Paul Maurice says was one of his greatest hockey memories he's ever had. His Winnipeg Jets beat the Calgary Flames 2-1 in overtime. It was a snow globe atmosphere. And then I was at the one here in Miami Friday night, which was like the Olympics. The NHL made it snow inside Lone Depot Park. I'm planning and praying to be in Tampa Bay February 1st, where the Lightning will take on the Boston Bruins. And I wasn't going to go. I was like, that's the importance of marketing. That's the importance of having an advocate for you. I wasn't going to go to the Heritage Classic because I was like everybody else that's never been to one, saying, oh, the sight lines are terrible. It's going to be cold. Why would I go? Brian Munns, longtime Winnipeg Jets broadcaster, said, no, you got to go. It's an event. It's like a Grey Cup. It's like a Super Bowl. He couldn't have been more right. There's events around it, which reminds me, all these things are things I've been meaning to say the last couple of weeks, and for whatever reason I didn't. But I was at the luncheon the day of the game. Moose was with me, producer Clark at the time, and I very clearly remember saying to Gary Bettman, we were next to each other in the buffet line, and I said, Commissioner Bettman, if you don't mind, can I just say thank you for bringing the NHL to us? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, for 100 years, we here in the Bermuda Triangle of the NHL, Saskatchewan, have had to go to the NHL. You brought it to us. I just want to say thank you. He was really cool about it. I really like Gary Bettman. Hey, Ken in Mississauga, you're writing in about the CFL player report. We talked about that in hour one. I'm doing this as a courtesy to you. If you want to go back and rewind 1 hour from now, we went deep into, we spent a whole segment on the Canadian Football League Players Association report cards. You might enjoy it. 902-518-3033. So, and I'll say this again, for those that say, and you can't blame them because I was one of them, the sight lines are terrible for the outdoor games. It's actually not. Because when you think about it, Marlins Park here in Miami, you're watching players in midfield, let's say on the pitcher's mound or second base, same as center ice in the hockey rink. They're the same distance away. Same as a football field. You're watching guys at midfield. So it's actually not that bad. It's just your iPhone doesn't account for what your eyes do. So it's not that bad. So Kevin, the medium, said he hadn't been to an outdoor game. I've been to 2. Our poll is 67% saying they haven't been to one. So but all the people that have, like Allie, they're writing in saying it was the greatest day of their life. That's all that I'm saying. And then the other thing about the Utah Mammoth, it's not my cross to bear. My God, I got enough. I'm not going to feel bad about this, but I don't understand why in this quirky NHL bylaw that the Utah Mammoth could just say, we're dissociating with the Arizona Coyotes franchise. We don't exist. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to say that about our past? That didn't happen. Yes, it did. We have court records. We have video. They don't want anything to do with Arizona. Okay. They're an expansion franchise, basically, in Utah. Okay. They don't have the record book. It's weird to me, but whatever. For a few reasons, I get a little defensive about that because I had friends that were owners of the Coyotes franchise, and it's kind of a sad story because they're good guys, and they wanted to bring an outdoor game to the Valley of the Sun. God knows there's enough stadiums there. Off the top of my head, I think Sun Devil Stadium is where they wanted to play, which would have been unbelievable because it's on a side of a mountain in Tempe, or the home of the Cardinals, retractable roof, now called State Farm. It doesn't matter now. They're gone, Rod. They want to have the World Juniors there, too. It's just a shame the way that it went. Topic for another day. Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, if you're up higher, the sight lines are okay. Well, that is if I can just warn anybody in Utah, or for that matter, Tampa Bay. I'm around South Florida people all the time. So they were saying the other day, if you were sitting right next to the dugouts, that was probably not a great place to sit in terms of seeing I said, I don't know. I wasn't sitting there. And thank God. Thank you for the NHL. I was in the press box. But where's Carlos from Indianapolis? I feel like he's left. He normally observes 1:11 Eastern live. Did you have any more points, Rod? Not really. No, I think we're done on that. Go to an outdoor game. Point 3. Ole Miss is the Southeastern Conference's last hope to play for the national championship this year. The SEC hasn't gone 3 years in a row without a title since the turn of the century. The 6th-seeded Ole Miss Rebels will play for a spot in the national championship tonight when they meet number 10 Miami at the Fiesta Bowl tonight in the stadium I was just saying, State Farm Stadium in Glendale. Big Ten teams have won the last 2 national titles. That conference is assured of being represented in a 3rd straight title game with number 1 Indiana matched up against number 5 Oregon in the Peach Bowl on Friday. So for the CFL fans that have showed up today, and specifically Saskatchewan Roughriders fans, Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss. Again, I started the hour talking about this. He's all that. Jim Barker extolled his virtues on this program on Friday. He said, what can't he do? Deadly accurate, unbelievably mobile. Ole Miss isn't going to win tonight, I don't think. Hurricanes are favored by 10, even though they're Ole Miss was 6th seed, Miami 10th. The U favored by 10 going into the game tonight. It's going to be big fun. 7:30 Eastern is the question. So, you couldn't. Dubuc will have great thoughts on this as to whether we being CFL fans, ever see Trinidad Chambliss set foot on a CFL field. But again, what does Gary Echeverry say? Never's a long time. We did the math one time. This is the funny / sad thing. I've done all the research. I've done all the math. I believe it's less than 10% of players on CFL negotiations lists ever cross the 49th parallel and play in the CFL. However, that less than 10% includes the Johnny Manziels, and for that matter, the Chad Johnsons and the Ricky Williams. And so it's not to say it will never happen. Haven't talked any NHL today other than the outdoor game in Utah, and that upsets me. I'll save that for later in the hour, including tonight's NHL games, because there's 3, 6, 9, 12 of them. It'll take a while to get through our NHL picks. But we got ball for you all when we return with Matt Dubuc. Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, NFL Coaching Carousel, Wild Card Weekend, and some CFL stuff all ahead on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network across Nevada and Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Have you signed up yet for the free Rod Squad newsletter? You can at rodpedersen.com right now. It's brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Okay, Coach Dubuc is here, the fast-paced world of football coach. Here we are. Mike McDaniel fired this morning. Let's start with that. What are your thoughts?
Probably has something to do with Harbaugh getting let go. And then him popping in there, and I know there's a good relationship between our owner and the Harbaugh family, so I would assume that has something to do with it.
So if you're, I don't know if you're a betting man.
I'm betting
or not,
on
Matt.
Harbaugh.
Are you putting? Oh, you knew what I was going to ask. Harbaugh. And how do you think that would go over here in South Florida?
Awesome. I mean, God, the guy's a winner. He's got a great product. He's done great. He was one kick away from being in the playoffs this year. So, hey, football in the world we all live in today is just so tight, and it's so contractual that, if one guy, two guys, three guys, they don't get it done, and, you're out. But I think they would give Harbaugh 5 years to get this thing going, and I think he would. I think he's a builder. Okay,
well, listen, we got 20 minutes for this chat. We have a lot of things to cover. But do you not think it's a little odd that they don't have a general manager yet? I mean, and they may not even get Harbaugh, but I mean, what's going on there? Am I out of line in asking
that? Yeah, I think what they probably have is a group of guys that they trust. Like Dan Marino's still in the building, and, I guess they got Troy Aikman around. So I think ultimately, I think there's people that are giving him advice, but Harbaugh could be the GM too. I mean, he's got plenty of experience, so I really believe it's going to be Harbaugh. They wouldn't have made that move on McDaniel unless it was going to be Harbaugh, and I think Harbaugh will get a lot of leeway on who he brings in.
Doesn't really matter now, but do you think McDaniel keeps his job if not for Harbaugh becoming available Tuesday night?
Yeah, I kind of feel that way. I really do. So I think he does. But it was the fan base, as you know, down here is very fickle anyhow. But there's still, the long-lived Dolphin fans are dying off, and the new generation hasn't experienced any wins. You can talk about Don Shula all you want, but they don't know who they don't know who Zach Thomas is. Our guys don't know who Zach Thomas is, and he's one of the best players in history. So I would tell you, I think they had to do something to re-energize the fan base.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes and he says, can Harbaugh turn the Dolphins around? It seems to be a foregone conclusion that Tua's gone. So you don't have a quarterback coming. Like, where would you start if you were John Harbaugh?
I think you gotta tear this thing down to the metal and just rebuild it and give him 5 years to get it done. But I think the fan base is going to acknowledge that it's broken, and I think he can fix it because the whole thing with Tua, getting him for that long-term deal is going to just absolutely destroy them when it comes to a quarterback. But the Ewers kid didn't play bad. I don't know if he's a franchise guy, but I was happy when they drafted him. So I don't know. I mean, I just think they have to start this whole thing over, and it couldn't be with Mike McDaniel.
Well, it's a nice segue. Quinn Ewers played at Texas. Hook 'em. I happen to see the new hat you're wearing, Coach. Big day for your family. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we weren't expecting this. He really enjoyed New Mexico and played in that bowl game and really did well. But, in the world of college football today, you're getting evaluated every week if you're playing well, and to get the type of responses he got off of Trey's play this year, it was all SEC schools and ACC schools, and now there's NIL, there's revenue share, and it's a great opportunity to go to a place that place in Austin. I'm a Red Raider, but that place in Austin is different. The town, everything, the facilities, the people, Sark and I were talking the other night about his days in the Canadian League. with Jo and just, you know, we went there and how do you tell them no? I tell people it's like you're a gladiator fighting in the amphitheaters, you know, in the old Roman times, and then the next thing you know, you win enough to go fight in the Coliseum, you know, and that's kind of what Trey did. He was, you know, he scrapped around and stuck through it, you know, some good times and bad, and now he's being rewarded for it.
Darrell K. Royce Stadium in Austin, Texas is what we're talking about. And Matt Dubuc's oldest son, Troy, is committed with the Longhorns as their long snapper. You know, here's what I don't really like the conjecture and the rumors. I don't, but I know everybody else does. And the reason I bring this up is Brent from Wellington, Florida. You know Brent. You met him at a Panthers game. He says, as a Dolphins fan, so you take Harbaugh or Lamar. Well, number one, Harbaugh is available. Lamar isn't. But I heard this one this morning, that the Las Vegas Raiders might trade the number 1 overall pick to Baltimore for Lamar Jackson. Is that a trade you would do on either side?
You know what you're getting with Lamar. You don't know what you're getting with a drafted guy. I mean, you can think you know, but you never really know until they actually do it. And that's why, like, the transfer portal in college football is so important now, because for Trey, they saw him play in 12 games and played at a high level. There's no fear there. But you bring in a guy that you don't know, that you think is going to get the job done, and then you mortgage your whole deal on that. You know, there is no sure thing when it comes to the draft. And I think that's what college football has become. You know, at Texas, they took a portal kicker, portal punter, and a portal snapper all with 1 year to go. Trey's got 2. But so it's so transactional, and these guys are trying to win the national championship, the SEC. You're trying to win the AFC. You just have to really, really, really get lucky. And, you know, everybody was tanking for Tua, and Tua tanked for the Dolphins. So, you know, that's part of the deal.
So if you were Las Vegas, you would make that trade because you know what you got in Lamar. But if you were Baltimore, you would not. Is that what I get out of that?
I would not get rid of Lamar Jackson. No way.
Okay. By the way, you said you talked to Steve Sarkisian about his CFL days. Did he speak fondly of Saskatchewan or not? Because kind of depends on the day with Sark, how he feels.
That's the first time I ever met Sark. I was in his office for probably 20 minutes, and we had dinner Friday night. I was really impressed. I think he's got a really good demeanor. Obviously, he's a very smart offensive mind. He was very complimentary of the CFL and enjoyed it. And he had nothing but good things to say. And you know, we knew a lot of the same people, but it was fun. And he's like I said, he's a really seems to be a really great guy.
No, he's all that. It just things weren't real great in Saskatchewan when he was there. That's all. You and I'll go over that when we're together next. Oh, by the way, Vancouver Eric writes in. He says Fernando Mendoza gives me Sam Darnold vibes. Well, I'm guessing that's a good thing. We're going to see him tomorrow night in the Peach Bowl, but tonight it's the Miami versus Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl. I assume you're going to be watching. What do you expect?
I'll give you a quick Sam Darnold story. Adam Gase coached him, and he didn't do very good for Adam Gase, and Adam Gase was pretty frustrated with him. And then Sam Darnold went out and did good the last few years. So sometimes it takes time. You know, sometimes it takes a few different coaches. You know, sometimes.
Oh, and we lost Matt. Oh, there we go. We got you back. What happened?
I don't know. Sometimes failure is good. You got to learn, and I'll go back to my own son. His first 2 years in South Florida, he was very frustrated, and he learned a lot from those 2 years, and now, you know, he's considered one of the best in the country. So, I think whether it's quarterback or whatever it is, you know, it's not always going to be peachy, as they say.
No. Well, and before I let you go, we got to end on some CFL things. We have lots of time before we do that. I'll talk about the interview with Cody Fajardo yesterday, which I know that you watched. But anyways, Miami heavily favored tonight, the Hurricanes, to beat Ole Miss. They're favored by 10, and if they do, they will appear in their own stadium in the national championship. The odds are astronomical that they would even do that. What do you think they're thinking going into the game tonight? What do you expect?
I just think Kiffin has left. It's such a poor deal for those guys at Ole Miss and their organization. Everywhere he leaves, it's like a dumpster fire. And again, this is going to probably end up the same way. I just think Miami's too good up front, and if the quarterback takes care of the ball, I don't think Ole Miss is going to be in there, just because of the coaching staff and just all of the distractions that they have. The interim coach that became the head coach is doing a hell of a job keeping it together. But I wouldn't bet against Miami at this point. Now, if Kiffin was still there calling it, maybe, but we're not right now.
Well, Miami's averaging 9 points a game on defense allowed. So the defense wins, as you know. But, I mean, have you had time to watch any ESPN? One of the questions I saw on the scroll this morning was on the ticker, how does this make Lane Kiffin look that Ole Miss has gotten this far? They've won 2 playoff games without him. Does it make him look good or bad? I think it makes him look good. He built that team. How do you think it makes him look that they're in the Final Four, Ole Miss?
It's a double-edged question. I mean, I think it looks good that he picked good players. And I think there's a lot of character, but I think he probably did a good job with his staff. Now there's nobody left from the staff going to the games. I guess the receiver coach and the tight end coach opted out of the game now. So I just don't see how they're going to be able to beat Miami that's running on full petrol. But does it? I don't know. I watched the Kiffin story last week, and he was a hard living dude. Now he's not a hard living dude. He's a Pilates guy and Bible verse guy, and he's an extremist from one to the other, and sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not.
You got to show me that show. I got to see that. We told the viewers you and I would talk about Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss. Whether they win or not tonight, he's going to be something to watch.
He might get another year, bargaining for another year when he was at a JUCO. I read that yesterday. It's not guaranteed that he's going to get another year, but he's going to play football somewhere next year, whether it's in college or pro football. Phenomenal player. Seems like a great kid, great leader. He's an X factor for tonight. But, there's just so many excuses for Ole Miss not to win. There's just so many excuses built in for them not to win. So I think once the going gets tough, you'll see guys saying, hey, where's my next place? Where am I headed to next? Or what am I going to do now? And I think that creeps in, and that's the ugly part of the game now. It's unfortunate.
Well, our bread and butter is our Canadian viewers, and we're airing on Game Plus TV, not just across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. So let's talk about the Fajardo interview yesterday. Big name in Nevada sports, a star with the Wolfpack, and one of the CFL's great quarterbacks. You seemed impressed with that interview yesterday with Cody.
Oh, boy, I would love to coach Cody or coach with Cody or be around that guy. That guy just exudes energy and positiveness. And Ben Vick, he says nothing but great things about Cody. So, yeah, I whatever Cody decides to do, play 2 more years, 3 more years, or go coach or whatever, or sell cars, I think Cody's going to be successful, whatever he decides to do. He just exudes positive. And he plays so hard, too. That's the one thing about Cody is, like, he leaves it out on the field every single game. And I enjoy watching him. So, and I've been watching him for probably 4 or 5 years now. So it's to watch him and hear him, sometimes you put 2 and 2 together, and he's definitely a very, very impressive guy. And it was great questions by you and the fans.
Well, I don't know. Well, thank you for that. But I don't know that. I guess you weren't privy to the conversation that I had with Benjamin Victor at your game on the field. And I said, Benjamin, yeah, well, it was warm-ups. Yeah, you were coaching. I guess you were coaching warm-up. But I said to Benjamin, you got to have a big year this year. And he goes, I need Cody throwing me the ball. Does it make that big of a difference, Matt?
Yeah, it does. I mean, especially in that league with the wider field, the longer field, absolutely. And Cody's a veteran, and he knows how to call the protections. He knows how to distribute the ball. That's why you want a veteran guy. I'm sure he wasn't as good 5 years ago as he is 6 or 7 years. It's like baking a cake. Just it takes a little bit more time at that position. It's and a guy like, if you want to compare him to Tua comes in and did decently to okay, and then I think all the hits that he took and the concussions, it just kind of slowed his development down to be a franchise quarterback. And I don't think he is anymore. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So rapid fire. Again, this is ending fast here, our chat. BW in Edmonton says, Henry Burris is available. He's not returning to Florida A&M. James writes in, he says, Harbaugh to Miami does not bode well for my Jets. The reason I bring this up is if you were Harbaugh and you have a choice, which it sounds like he's going to have a choice, of all these openings, where would you go if you were Jim Harbaugh?
Miami.
Yeah?
I mean, you live in it's the best place to live in the world, climate-wise. I mean, the only thing I think McDaniel where he went wrong is, you got to play in Buffalo and you got to play in New York. You got to somewhat build that team for the cold playoffs. I mean, unless you're going to host all the way through, and you're not. And that was their demise. They weren't a very tough football team. They were flashy, but not very tough. And if you talk to any salty old coach, toughness is what football's all about. It's about blood, sweat, tears, snot, blood coming down your face, the individual battle, your fight every play, your individual fight. So I don't think the Dolphins have had a whole lot of that under Mike McDaniel.
So that hasn't changed, eh? Football still comes down to that?
Yeah, I think it does. And that's what I'm trying to do with my team. And the tough survive in football, and the weak guys, they fade. And it takes time to find out who the tough guys are, and that's what we all do as coaches, try to figure that out. So, yeah, I think it comes down to those individual battles, the snot, the blood and the scraping and scratching, and who's willing to fight to the end.
Well, you did have a hell of a year, for sure. Final Four in the state, right?
Yep.
All right.
It was good. I mean,
all right,
all right. Well, appreciate you, Rod.
Yeah. We got about 30 seconds left. I don't know what your plans are tonight, but we'll be at the Yard House in Meisner if you care to join me and Fish. We're going to be watching this Fiesta Bowl tonight, so I don't know. I'm just putting it out there, Coach. I know you're a busy guy. Maybe you need to just rest.
Matt Dubuc is getting to the airport at 4:45 tomorrow morning to go to New Mexico to move his son across 10 hours to Austin, Texas. So I will be on the couch with the dog tonight, going to bed early.
Okay. Well, safe travels. Hi to Tyson and all your lovely family. Thanks for the time, Coach. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you.
Coach Matt Dubuc from the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs, 3-time state champion, Grey Cup champion, bowl champion of everything, champion in life, Matt Dubuc joining us. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way here on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video. so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Feel like we say it every day. Got a long ways to go and a short time to get there, as Jerry Reed said. I'll do the sports update and then viewer comments. Maybe I can squeeze them all into this segment. We got 2 left to go. Sports update is for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. The Miami Dolphins have fired head coach Mike McDaniel following a 7-10 season in which Miami missed the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. The decision this morning ends McDaniel's 4-year tenure in Miami, a period defined by soaring expectations that ultimately went unfulfilled. You just saw Matt Dubuc. One of the biggest names in football down here in South Florida. He predicts John Harbaugh will be the next coach of the Dolphins. We'll see. How about college? Mississippi has kept winning. They want to be called Ole Miss. Ole Miss has kept winning despite their coach, Lane Kiffin, bolting for another program. The Miami Hurricanes have rekindled the glory days of their 2001 national championship with a ferocious defense and a steady quarterback named Carson Beck. One will play for a national championship after tonight's Fiesta Bowl. Ole Miss spent the last half of the regular season wondering if Coach Lane Kiffin would stick around or leave for LSU. Once the coach did head out, the 6-seeded Rebels kept winning. The 10-seeded Hurricanes have done it with defense. Miami gave up its fewest points since the 2001 national championship team and has been even better in the playoffs. 7:30 Eastern tonight, the Miami Hurricanes against the Ole Miss Rebels. It's just going to be fantastic, as John Frenzy would say. Nick Saban's influence on college football remains strong even 2 years after he last coached. 5 of the 12 college football playoff teams this year are led by his former assistants. 4 of them are still in the race. Curt Cignetti at number 1, Indiana. Dan Lanning at number 5, Oregon. Pete Golding at Ole Miss. And Mario Cristobal with the Canes. Cignetti praises Saban's mentorship, highlighting his organizational skills and detailed planning. Coaches like Lanning and Cristobal credit their success to lessons learned under Saban. They emphasize the importance of maintaining Saban's tough, competitive spirit in their programs. I like hearing that. More than anything, I like Nick Saban and the Verbo commercials now, VRBO, Vacation Rental by Owner. This is not a spa. No showers past 5 minutes. Turns out he's a great actor too, Nick Saban. Anyways, the sports update, as we said, is brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone. Rough Riders, Blue Jays, NFL, NHL, you name it, they've got it. Rep your team loud and proud with Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store, Moose Jaw. Shop now at ultimatefanzone.ca. Overtime's coming up next, and don't let me forget to get my NHL picks in. And if I do forget, I make the picks later anyways. Last night I was 5 for 5, not a big deal. But I was 0 for 5 on Tuesdays, or whatever, Monday, whatever day. Last time there was 5 games. Anyways, I was mentioning earlier, that I have this other career, mental health and addiction recovery coach. I quite like it. One of the things that I do, I get squired around and I tour treatment facilities, rehab facilities. One of those was at Aurora Recovery Center just north of Winnipeg at Gimli. And right across basically the street from the rehab facility is the Crown Royal Whiskey Distillery. And it is massive. And I remember driving around with a gentleman that was driving me, and I'm like, that smells like whiskey. He goes, oh, yeah, the Crown Royal is right here. I'm like, right across the street from the rehab facility? He's like, yeah. Wayne writes in from Victoria. He says, sorry if I'm being insensitive, but having the Crown Royal facility across from the rehab facility strikes me as funny. I laughed out loud when you said it. Here's the thing about being in long-term recovery. Roll with it. Living life on life's terms. What are you going to do? As we say, deal with it. You want to know why I have nerves of steel? Living life on life's terms. Deal with it. And they do. Very successful rehab facility on the shores of Lake Winnipeg. We had a great time there. Laverne and Swift Current, on our poll question, have you ever been to an outdoor game? Laverne writes in, he says, I've been to lots of outdoor games, probably played hundreds of games of shinny on the outdoor rinks. I was also at Mosaic Stadium for the 2019 Heritage Classic. That's the poll question. Have you been to an outdoor game? 67% saying no. Sucky thing is, right now, Las Vegas probably wouldn't host one. There's no outdoor facility there, but when they get the baseball park built, the old Tropicana site, I'm pretty sure they'll be dropping a hockey rink in there. Bill Foley could just build an outdoor stadium if he wanted to host an outdoor game, but they will eventually, just not anytime soon. More comments. Get them all in, everybody. We're coming back with overtime right after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody, for Overtime. I hope your 2026 has gotten off to a great start. Not everybody can say that. I hope for you that it has, and I hope you're dealing with things okay. Oh, my gosh. What am I going to do the rest of the day? I think I'm going to stay off my phone is what I'm going to do. I see some people really embarrassing themselves with their comments on social media, and I'm just going to back away and not offer an assessment. There's your Rod's tip for the day. Don't get stupid on social media. Brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. And coincidentally, they bring you the Overtime segment where skill and fun collide. Or as I like to say, an amusement park for hockey players. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Best place to go for a team bonding session that I can personally think of. You like to give people what they want. Kirk is watching in Toronto right now. He writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Rod, looks like the Toronto Argonauts are forming a solid coaching staff. Hope it translates to on-field success. Argo's naming their coaching staff today. I'm not going to get into it now. I did read it off earlier. The head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, former offensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals, Mike Miller, not Matt Miller, Mike Miller, will be with us tomorrow in the Jim Barker slot on the Football Friday. To quote John Frenzy, it's just going to be fantastic. Hey, Allie in Texarkana. She writes in. He says, that sounds like a good plan, Rod. Yeah, staying off our phones, getting away from the ugliness on social media, never a bad idea. I see that they're all having their own little party here. We've in the chat section. I'm just going to stay out of that too. But we covered a lot of ground. I'm a little exhausted. I think I'll have a nap before the big Fiesta Bowl tonight. Producer Corey asked, why are the bowl games named after fruit? Fiesta Bowl, we could basically say that's a salad. Peach Bowl, Orange Bowl. I said sponsorship, but I'm not totally confident in that. Here's my picks tonight. Do not take these to the bank nor the betting window. Leafs at Flyers. Flyers going to win. Yeah. Florida at Montreal. Here's the lock of the night. Panthers will win. Montreal coming off the big win last night at home over Calgary, and the Panthers getting motorboated in Toronto. Cats will win tonight. And the motivation of being pantsed by the Habs here in Sunrise last week. If you know, you know. New Jersey at Pittsburgh. Got to go with the Penguins. Something seriously is wrong with the Devils. Buffalo at the New York Rangers. I'm a Rangers backer. I'm a Rangers believer after what I saw last week. Vancouver at Detroit. Red Wings battling for the first place in the Atlantic Division. They'll win tonight. Anaheim at Carolina. Yeah, I think it's the Ducks' turn. Sorry. Drop my pen. To snap their 3-game slide. It'll happen tonight at Carolina. Calgary at Boston. It's a Bruins win. New York Islanders at Nashville. What I tell you, Joe Lazzato, I feel like I'm mentioning you every day on this show, and it's been twice today. Islanders will win at Nashville. The Edmonton Oilers at Winnipeg. Jets trying to snap a 10-game losing streak. I don't think that's going to happen tonight for Winnipeg. Nope, I'm going with Edmonton. Ottawa at Colorado. Sens having a tough roadie. What did they do last night? They lost at Utah. They're going to lose at Colorado. The Avs are back home after a tough road trip, and the Avs will win at home tonight at Ball Arena. Minnesota at Seattle. Those sneaky Kraken. I think I'm going to take Minnesota, though, to win. Just pulled my earphone. I'm a yard sale here. The Columbus Blue Jackets at the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas coming off the overtime win at Winnipeg. I'm not a believer in Columbus. I don't know why anybody keeps trying to convince me to be. It'll be a Golden Knights victory tonight in the Fortress. That's our picks. What are yours? It's going to be a fun night of sports watching tonight. 4 in the NBA, including Miami at Chicago Bulls. And the one college football playoff game tonight. Oh, why did I say Miami's favored by 10? They're favored by 3. The Miami Hurricanes versus Ole Miss in Glendale, Arizona. Oh, I am envious of those going to the game tonight. All the South Florida media is there except for me. But one thing that I've realized very quickly, I learned it a long time ago, I can't be in more than one place at once. Can't do it. So you got to pick and choose. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, how about Calgary versus Boston? I said it. I looked right in the camera. Rewind. Bruins. When I say we covered everything, we really did. I mean, I had a couple of notes here. John in Edmonton writes in. It's more fun when you do it with the comments. John in Edmonton says, Rod, should Vegas host a Winter Classic or Stadium Series? They don't get snow, so no, the Winter Classic, but Stadium Series maybe. They can't. I've talked to the Vegas people. The show airs in Vegas every day. Allegiant Stadium, the home of the Raiders, is a covered dome stadium. UNLV, Sam Boyd Stadium, is condemned. There's nowhere to play it. I think I just said that before the break, did I not? Once they build a baseball stadium at the site of the Trop, former site of the Trop, which is Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana Boulevard. It's odd they would have 2 boulevards intersecting, but it's Vegas where anything goes. They'll have an outdoor game. It'll be in the baseball stadium. Brent in Saskatoon writes in. He says, hey, Rod, I think I'll lay down later for a snooze before this evening's festivities. Thank you for that. You could have posted it at Facebook, but you thought you would say it here. Totally fine. Again, tomorrow is going to be a big day. Kevin the Medium is going to be with us to open the program, and then Mike Miller, the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts. It's always a big deal when you have the head coach of a pro football team on, and we're going to do that tomorrow. Jason in Red Deer says, why does it have to be a baseball stadium? I just said because the outdoor stadium, one's condemned and the other one's a dome. You hear, but you don't listen. Have a great one, everybody. We'll do it tomorrow, noon Eastern, live at 9 p.m. prime time here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
Good.